Lonnie Walker's heading to the Celtics on an Exhibit 10 contract. What does that mean, and how does it affect the Celtics' final roster spot? All this and more on today's The Celtics Chronicle. News broke of Lonnie Walker joining the Celtics around about 2 a.m. my time, which would have been evening time on the East Coast, early evening on the West, that he signed an Exhibit 10 deal. So the initial confusion I had when I woke up this morning that I was scrolling the Twitter feed was Adrian Wojnarowski had said it was a 1 year deal. Shams had said it was an Exhibit 10 with a additional caveat that he could earn a bonus if he spent time in the G League. Come to do a bit of research, just make sure I know what I'm talking about before I record. It's why I'm slightly later getting to this than I wanted to be. Both of them are right. So an Exhibit 10 contract is a non-guaranteed minimum contract. Most teams, in fact, pretty much every team in the league, uses them to get guys into training camp. And then if they don't make that roster, like the final roster, it's a way of funneling them into the G League, kind of holding a little bit of control, but still allowing them to be able to move around during the season and stuff. It's a low risk opportunity to take a closer look at somebody, see how they fit with your system, see how they fit with the other players around them, what their demeanor's like, and just get a better feel for whoever you're trying to add. And that's exactly what the Celtics have done with Lonnie Walker. So if he isn't waived by the time the new season begins, which is October 22nd for the Celtics when they face the Knicks, also ring day, happy ring day, everybody, his contract becomes fully guaranteed at the minimum. And that's where Woj's tweet came from, right? In terms of just taking a flyer on somebody, I don't think you can get a better opportunity than Lonnie Walker. He's one of the more talented players available on the free agent market right now. He's a proven commodity. You know what he can do offensively. Shot 38% from 3-point range last season. Has shown flashes of being able to get to the rim, can work off ball as a cutter, can be on ball and kind of create his own shot a little bit. He really fits that kind of 2-3 mold that the Celtics like to use, where you can have them coming off the slot, you can have them driving baseline, coming off of screens, has decent length. So defensively, he can kind of pester lanes as gap help or as a secondary kind of rotation guy and help defense coming from the weak side. He gives you a lot of what you would want out of a 15th man, just reliable scoring and a little bit of defense. Defense is definitely his weakest aspect. And there's some areas on offense that you'd probably want him to brush up on. But when we're talking about a veteran minimum or just a minimum guy on the 15th and final roster spot, expectations have to be lowered in general. And I think this is an ideal type of addition. So as you can see on the screen, last season, Walker averaged 13 points per game against the Celtics across, I think it was 4 games. Shot 7 of 13 from deep. Just very reliable for Brooklyn in terms of a secondary or tertiary scorer. That role will drastically shrink if he makes it into the Celtics rotation. And that's a big if, right? He's not the only one fighting for that 15th and final roster spot. Jay Scrubb is going back in on an Exhibit 10 after injuring his ACL last year. He will want to try and fight for that spot. Very similar in terms of multi-level scoring guys that struggle a bit on defense and can create for themselves, but primarily do need other people to get them the ball in their spots. I think Lonnie Walker has the edge there, more NBA experience, more proven ability to get his shot off in the NBA, a better conversion rate on all 3 levels than what Jay Scrubb has. Obviously, Jay Scrubb's opportunities in the NBA have been far smaller than what Walker's have. But in terms of just what he brings to the table, the lack of risk associated with bringing him in on an Exhibit 10, and even if you let that contract convert into a guaranteed deal, it's a minimum. Now, the Celtics do have to weigh up. It's not just a minimum for them, right? There's some luxury tax penalties that come with this. There's some second apron penalties that come with this. A couple of $1 million in salary could wind up being closer to 10 or 12 million once you factor in all of the different penalties and luxury taxes that get thrown onto this. And that just raises the cost of this roster even more, which is why it's made sense to believe that Boston were going to hold out on filling that 15th spot until closer to the trade deadline, because salaries are prorated. So the longer you go without signing a guy, yes, you're signing him on for X value, but it's prorated, so it shrunk. So then your penalty will shrink with it. But on the flip side, is there going to be anybody as talented as Lonnie Walker available in February as what, or do you just get him now because it's the best talent you're going to get to fill that 15th roster spot? And I feel like that was probably what Brad Stevens was considering when making this move because, hey, we can bring him in. We can get a look at how he interacts, how he carries himself, whether he stays behind half the practice, how he conducts himself in practice. If he's going 100%, is he giving everything? Is he trying to learn the system? Does he have a good relationship with guys? You can learn all of that now before having to make a decision on whether you want to guarantee money for this guy. It's a win-win for everybody. Walker's off the free agent market for now, gets an opportunity to really try and push for a roster spot with the reigning champions. It makes sense for everybody involved. There are some questions, though, about how his offense will fit, considering he has struggled from two of the three scoring levels, especially over the last season or two. And the reason this is a concern for me is because, unlike O'Shea Brissett, that struggled offensively all throughout last season and pretty much all throughout his career, he doesn't bring the defensive aggression, the versatility, and the intangibles, being willing to dive on the floor, being willing to fight through screens and stay connected to his man, all the things that made O'Shea Brissett a valuable non-scoring asset. Walker doesn't have that. Defense is really an issue for him, hasn't really figured it out, gets lost quite often, communications lacking. And that's why we have to take a look a little bit deeper at his scoring percentages, just to see where he struggles, where he thrives, just and try and compartmentalize how he would fit within this system, right? So I went back and looked at cleaning the glass, which does filter out garbage time. So these numbers may be a bit different if you're looking elsewhere on the internet, but I find them to be some of the most reliable, and cleaning the glass is probably my favorite stat site out there at the moment and has been for a very long time. So if we look 60% at the rim, that's decent. It's not great. It's not terrible. It was 33rd percentile for his position for finishing at the rim last season. These numbers are just last season, by the way. Shot 30%, but 37% in the mid range. That's cool for me personally because there's already enough mid-range scoring talent that you're not really asking Lonnie Walker to go and do that for you, right? You've got Jason Tatum working out of the high post or the mid post, can hit that turnaround fadeaway, can face up, shoot straight over you, face up, drive through you, can just do a bunch of different things in the post. Jaylen Brown, arguably a top three a top three mid-range scoring guy in the NBA right now, just automatic when he gets his back to the baskets, does that Gordon Hayward fadeaway, automatic. Probably the Celtics' best mid-range weapon too. And you've got Kristaps Porzingis when he's healthy that can come and give you some mid-range scoring. So the only time you're really asking Lonnie Walker to go and give you something in the midi is he's attacking the closeout. One dribble, two dribble pull up, create a little bit of separation as the guy flies by you trying to contest a free, pull up in the mid-range. And then if you can knock that down at a 37% clip, or find an open guy for a secondary cut, bang, get the ball out of your hands. Great. Reliable enough that you can live with that. 38% from 3-point range is great. Now, just to add some more nuance to this, last season, in terms of where his 3-point shots came from, the majority of them come from around the perimeter. So your slot, your wing, you're above the break. I think it was something, let me double check this. I'm pretty sure it was like 13%. Yeah. Only 13% of all of Lonnie's 3-point shots came in the corner. Everything else came from slot, wing, above the break. He doesn't shoot a ton from those corners, which is fine because you already have your Sam Hauser who likes to curl out of those corners. Derek White likes to sink into them. Drew Holiday likes to curl out or sink in. He's one of the most reliable 3-point shooters in the league. Al Horford likes to operate there. So not having another guy that needs to be in the corner to be an effective 3-point shooter is great. He's reliable, shoots just above a league average or around about league average from the perimeter. As a 15th man, if you're getting league average production offensively from the one area where the Celtics taste the most shots and he's costing you a minimum, I'm cool with that, especially when he can add in that 1-2 dribble pull up, or he can drive the lane and get to the rim if he needs to. Yep, I'm fine with that. It's definitely a offensive-minded move. If the Celtics do decide to convert him from this Exhibit 10 onto a full-scale deal, he's going to have plenty of opportunity to just get some numbers up as a microwave guy Question is, how frequent will his minutes be? Like, I don't envision him getting minutes game to game, but I envision him to kind of taking on that O-shaped set role where you do get minutes more often than not, but there'll be some games where you get a DMP-CD, and that's fair. I think that when you're coming from being like a third or whatever option you were in Brooklyn, who were a rebuilding team if we're facing facts, and then you're coming onto the best team in the league, that role's going to shrink. And other teams clearly had some concerns regarding his defense. And some teams have some concerns regarding his defense. Some teams have some concerns probably regarding his ability to create for himself, which is why he's still on the free agency market right now. He was on a minimum deal in Brooklyn, so he's clinging on to a role in the NBA. And this could be a great opportunity for him to challenge for a championship, build that resume, show that he can play a role on a contending team without being disruptive. And he's never been disruptive, but just you have to prove this shit, right? And then maybe be able to find more long-term deal even next season or the season after, depending on how this year goes for him. From Boston's standpoint, this is a win. Like, you're rolling the dice on somebody that's already proven themselves. There's no financial like risk right now. You can waive him tomorrow if you want, and there's no cap hit. Doesn't hit your books until October 22nd if he hasn't been waived by then. And if you do waive him and you filter him through to main, you can keep developing him within your system, getting him used to the way you play, an opportunity to maybe bring him up on a full scale deal closer to February. And we've seen the Celtics do this. They did that with Sam Hauser. They did that with Nimi last season. You put them in the G League, you let them develop, you let them learn the system, learn where you want them to be, what scenarios and what specific actions that they're going to be involved in, as opposed to when they're on the other side of the floor, kind of spacing or doing some window dressing. And then once you feel they've got that down, you sign them to a deal, you save a few months worth of salary, which means you save a few months worth of tax implications. And then he's there for the rest of the season and the postseason run. That is logical. The only risk you run with that is another team between now and then comes and offers him a deal. And that's a risk you might have to run if you want to shave a few mil off the tax bill. With that being said, I am curious how everybody watching this feels. Are you happy with the deal? Do you think the Celtics have made a smart move? Was it a massive win? Are we looking at Lonnie getting a full contract? Do you think he's going to end up in Maine? The comment section's there, man. I'll be interacting with everybody that leaves a comment as quickly as I can. Let's have a discussion whether you think could he earn minutes? Does he jump over somebody else on that bench rotation? Could it affect Baylor Shireman, who is, in my opinion, more well-rounded talent than Lonnie Walker, but doesn't have the NBA experience or the proven ability to get buckets in the league? Let me know. Jump in the comment section. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. I'm also going to be doing a much deeper dive over on my newsletter, the Celtic Chronicle newsletter. Links in the description below. The post is free for everybody. So if you sign up now, that'll hit your inbox later today. If you're signing up after a few hours after this is recorded, just click onto that link. You'll find it straight there. You can just read it for free. It's there. With that being said, everyone's probably noticed I'm running solo. That's going to be the way the show is moving forward. Big learning curve for me. I've hosted podcasts for years, never really done solo shows. So I'm on a learning curve right now. Got to get more comfortable being on my own. I learn how to pace my breath a little bit more, figure out how I want to incorporate videos and clips and how that's all going to work. But yeah, I appreciate everyone that's on this journey with me. I've grown podcasts way bigger than this before. I'm aiming to make this one the biggest one I've ever grown. So it's just going to take a minute for me to get used to being on my lonesome. Obviously, we'll have guests from time to time. With that being said, everybody have a great day. Hit that subscribe button. Show me some love. I'll catch y'all soon.